Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here to talk to you about Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet ballet. Now, this is going to be a lot of housekeeping because it comes in all kinds of different versions. I love this score. It's an incredibly fertile and fabulous, just sort of apotheosis of Prokofiev's lyrical strain. It's absolutely gorgeous. It contains some of the greatest music he ever wrote. And it became sort of very popular in the past few years because it was used in a bunch of television commercials. The Knight's Dance, the one that sounds like this. You know that, dum ba dum ba da ba dum ba da ba da. Well, you just heard it, so I don't need to sing it. But it was at least two major ads that I remember. One of them was this very strange perfume ad. The stuff was called Egoist, or it was in French, Egoiste, and it had like this apartment building with windows that opened and closed, the shutters, and behind the shutters were women who were screaming, "Egoist! Egoist!" while the Prokofiev Knight's Dance from Romeo and Juliet was playing. And then it was a car ad. I forget what kind of car it was. It was like a Lexus. It was like a high-end kind of sedan car, and there were these huge, enormous ball bearings swinging back and forth like this in tune to the music while the car was driving between them, trying not to get smashed to smithereens. It was very conceptual. And one of the things I've noticed, and I don't know if you have, but I obsess about things like this. I am especially interested in, the use of classical music in like television and things like that. And when one sort of, piece gets used in a commercial, it seems like it gets picked up by lots of different people, maybe because they have the same ad agency or they use the same music consultant. That waltz from Shostakovich's Jazz Suite, the ya da 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 ba da 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 da, that thing, that was used in a whole bunch of commercials. It was like liquor and it was Verizon and it was all kinds of things. And way back in the day when I was a kid, for some reason, Verdi's the Anvil chorus, from Il Trovatore, ba da 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 da. That was always laundry detergent. I have no idea why it was laundry detergent or what we associate Il Trovatore with the laundry, but the Anvil chorus was laundry detergent. And Morning from Grieg's Peer Gynt Suite, do 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 do, that thing, that was salad dressing. You could not do salad dressing without Grieg. It was very, very weird. Anyway, so I'm digressing. So the Knight's Dance from Romeo and Juliet was in a bunch of TV commercials, which created a certain amount of interest in the ballet. But, the complete ballet used to be there were two recordings. There was Andre Previn's and Lauren Maazel's. Those were the ones. There was actually this old one with Svetlanov. Remember him? This is on Melodia. It was recorded in 1959. And is this Svetlanov? No, it's Rushdestvensky. I'm sorry. It was Rushdestvensky. Here it is from 59 in vintage, horrifying melodious sound from the Soviet Union. But you couldn't get it. It was on Melodia. You couldn't find it very often, but I have it. It's fun to listen to. It's a good performance. It's a very good performance, and it has that authentic Russian rawness that's so much fun and screechy, melodious sound. But then, like I said, there was Previn's and Lauren Maazel. And Lauren Maazel, is better. The gramophone people used to say, well, it's 6 in one, a half dozen for the other. Who are they kidding? Who are they kidding? Previn's was sort of soft-edged and not terribly well disciplined, and it wasn't terrible if you had no other choices. But then this came out with the Cleveland Orchestra, razor sharp, exciting as hell, and done great. It's held up extremely well. It still sounds fabulous, and that was the one to get if you wanted the complete ballet. And unless you had this sort of strange affection for Andrei Previn in one of his sort of droopier modes. But then, just when you thought everything was settled with respect to complete Romeo and Juliet's, out came Seiji Ozawa with the Boston Symphony. And if you want the complete ballet, this is really the one. Why? Because it has all of Lauren Maazel's discipline and rhythmic verve combined with wonderful lyricism and warmth and a lightness and balletic texture that's just fantastic. So this is my favorite one. Now, there have been several since then too. I mean, I think Gergiev did one. I don't even remember. I think it's there somewhere in this pile of stuff. And Ashkenazi did a very good one actually on Decca that no one paid any attention to whatsoever. There are a whole bunch of complete ballets. But if you want the complete ballet, Ozawa is the one to get. The problem is with Romeo and Juliet that it's a very repetitive piece. If you listen to the complete ballet, it's long. It's a good 2.5 hours almost, And some of these numbers, they go on and on repeating. That folk dance, do 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 do. Remember that? If you look at what's happening in the ballet, it always says, "Oh, the street party continues," and it comes back. And in the first act, all the fight music, which is very, very exciting, but you hear it constantly over and over again because, it makes sense with respect to the plot. But otherwise, it's gonna kill you, the amount of repetition in it. Also, and I have to be perfectly honest, this is a long ballet. It's got like, how many acts is it? 4 acts, right? Yeah, Act 3, Act 4, scene. Yeah, Act 4. Act 4 is actually quite short. It's really an epilogue, but it gets less interesting as it goes, because Prokofiev has to keep bringing back the same music as it goes. The balcony scene, for example, with Romeo and Juliet is absolutely gorgeous. It's the most beautiful thing Prokofiev ever wrote. Ya da 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 da. I'm ruining it, and I can play samples. Why am I singing? I don't know. I just did play one. I just like to sing. Isn't that terrible? Especially the way I sing. But the point is that when he starts, meanwhile, the cat's going crazy here. The problem is that he keeps bringing back these earlier tunes, and you can only hear them so many times, reasonably. So, for that reason, it's nice to get a suite from Romeo and Juliet, right? It's really good to get suites. Suites are good things. We like suites. There was I think we all have, or I can only speak for myself, but I'm generalizing, this sort of Romeo and Juliet progression. You start out listening to a suite, you hear it, you go, oh, this is great. I'd love to hear the complete ballet. Then you get the complete ballet. Then you listen to it a few times, and it's really beautiful, and you're glad you have it, but you go back to the suites because you know what it sounds like by then, and you just want the best bits. But here's the kicker. The suites are not exactly the same as the ballet. Prokofiev also made a piano suite, by the way, 10 pieces for Romeo and Juliet. You can get this music all kinds of ways. But the suites are, some of them conflate individual works for the ballet, like the very first number in part 2. Those wonderful crashy dissonant chords, and then the Knight's Dance. It begins with the prince or the king or whoever the hell he is, the guy telling the warring families to cool it. And that's his threat, that they got to cool it. That's what those dissonant, crashy chords are. But then the Knight's Dance comes, so Prokofiev redid the music. He thought about it, and when he arranged these suites, he rescored some of it. It's not exactly the same as what you hear in the ballet. It's very close, but not exactly the same. So let's talk about recordings of suites now, or excerpts, of which there are billions. I mean, billions. I just picked out 1, 2, 3, 4. I have my 6 favorite ones because, life is too short, frankly, to do more than that. There are others that are very good. I mean, one of the best and earliest was Dmitri Mitropoulos with the New York Philharmonic, which is on Sony. It's very, very, very good. Esa-Pekka Salonen did some. It was very, very good. I mean, everybody did it. Everybody did it. So I think Abato did one with the Berlin Philharmonic, didn't he? And like DG, God, it was awful. There's just lots of them. So these are the best of the batch. And I'm just going to go through them quickly. And then I want to play you a sample, one more sample, so you get a sense of why my ultimate recommendation is the ultimate recommendation. First, if you want all 3 suites, there are 3 of them. Most recordings only did suites 1 and 2. And the reason was because they fit on either side of an LP, sort of, with 1 or 2 numbers missing, one of the shorter numbers. Usually they take something out, but basically you get suites 1 and 2 on a disc. Suite 3 was the orphan of the bunch, but with CDs it became possible to do all 3, notwithstanding which most conductors didn't want to do all 3 because it's a lot of music. It's about 75 to 80 minutes worth of music. So if you wanted all 3 suites, Nimi Järvi was the first guy to give you all 3, here it is again, on Chandos, on a single disc. And it's 78 minutes and 48 seconds long. The performance is basically very good. All of his Prokofiev on Chandos was very good. The Knight's Dance is a little clunky. It's very slow. And, the bass is a little squishy in the bottom for some reason on this performance, but the performances are very good. However, Järvi Père was eclipsed by Järvi Fils, by Paavo Järvi with the Cincinnati Symphony, right? The Cincinnati Symphony on Telarc. This is a hot disc. This is really, really good stuff. It's about 4 minutes faster in total than his dad's Romeo and Juliet suites, and that's all to the good. I mean, the extra energy really tells. And if you want all 3 suites, Paavo Järvi is your guy for all 3 suites. However, there are other versions with various selections of things. A superb, absolutely first-rate disc of Romeo and Juliet excerpts is this one. Michael Tilson Thomas. It's very glary for some reason today. Wait a minute, let me take this out. There you go. Michael Tilson Thomas with the San Francisco Symphony. Fantastic. And what he does is he takes basically all the music that you hear in the various suites, but rearranges it in the order that it occurs in the ballet, and does it in ballet order, and includes some other stuff that isn't in the suites either. This is just scenes from the ballet, and he made his own arrangement, and some people have done that, and it works quite well. Schulte did it too, I think, I remember, coupled with the classical symphony on Decca. But this one's RCA recording with Tilson Thomas and the San Francisco Symphony is absolutely wonderful. One of the best recordings he made for RCA back in the days when they were doing that. Also, superb. I mean, really superb, although short playing time, was this one. The Concertgebouw Orchestra with Myung-Whun Chung, principally because the Concertgebouw is just so amazing. Absolutely amazing. And this is one of those, one of the things, you listen to when you do Romeo and Juliet suites is the death of Tybalt. That's the one with the strings going crazy. That passage. And you want to see how fast and how hard they can do it. Boy, do they nail it, the Concertgebouw and Chung in this recording. Oh, God, it's exciting. It's incredibly exciting. But the playing here is wonderful. It gives the music... You've never heard the music brought out with so much color and really real sensitivity to the rhythms to make them not sound so mechanical, the way they can. And it's ballet music, I mean, it's all about rhythm. It's a dance. Another fantastic version of the 2 suites with one or two numbers missing, was Riccardo Muti with Philadelphia. This was an early EMI digital. It was a little glassy sounding, but it was still one of their more successful early digital recordings. And against Philadelphia, they play like demons. This is the same, period in which Moody did that great Rite of Spring and Pictures at an Exhibition, those first EMI recordings with the Philadelphia Orchestra, and they were playing fabulously. And his Romeo and Juliet suites is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. However, I have a favorite. I really do. And this is really, I think, the most extraordinary Romeo and Juliet suites I've ever heard in my life. Again, it's selections from both suites. It's not both suites complete because it originally appeared on an LP and there were limits to what you could do on the LP, but it's Anne Churl with the Czech Philharmonic. This recording is like no other. Now, Anne Churl was a great conductor of Prokofiev for some odd reason. He really was. I mean, his second piano concerto? Whoa, baby. But he did, and this comes with Peter and the Wolf. You get a coupling if you want another Peter and the Wolf. They do the narration in English, which is rather kind of them. Anyway, it's a selection from both suites. But the thing that makes this performance so impressive is that it's not just pretty ballet music. Anne Churl takes this thing to expressionistic heights that no one ever dreamed it could go. I mean, Romeo and Juliet before parting, that last number there. I mean, I have to play a sample of it. I took the earlier sample from this recording too, because Supraphon has very kindly allowed me to use music samples. Listen to the way they play this. It is unbelievable. Listen, just listen. Isn't that amazing? Amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's expressive. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's gut-wrenching is what it is. If you ever thought, Romeo and Juliet is a tragedy. Ballets never manage to sound very tragic, do they? I mean, they just don't. There's something in the nature of the medium, its stylization perhaps, that seems to put you at one remove from the kind of emotional intensity that you get from, say, just plain symphonic music or something. Not here. This is as gut-wrenching as his Mahler Ninth. It really is, which is unbelievably gut-wrenching. I mean, it just has that anguish and the pain and it's no one else comes even close in that movement. And of course, the whole thing is just magnificently played. I mean, it's the Czech Philharmonic and Anne Churl at the top of their game. But wow, if you've always thought that Romeo and Juliet was kind of like light, fluffy ballet music, then you really got to hear Anne Churl, because he's going to change your whole conception of what ballet music can be. So that's my recommendation. You can get the complete ballet. You can get any of these recordings that I've shown you. They're all super. But you must have Anne Churl's to really give you a sense of the heights to which this music can rise, and the profundity of emotion and intensity that really recaptures, some of the I think the impact of Shakespeare's original. Pretty amazing, isn't it? I mean, it really is. It goes to show what happens when you really take the music seriously, because that's what Prokofiev wrote. He wrote that feeling into the music, but it's up to the interpreters to bring it out. So keep on listening, folks. Enjoy your Romeos and Juliets. Take care.